Hello, good evening. Welcome to September. It is a new month. We are getting close to the end of 2021. I am Valerie McDowell, your writer, editor, author, book coach, and consultant. Welcome to another Write It Out Wednesday. This is the first Wednesday of this new month, and this is the day where we put you back at the top of your writing list. So for all the times that you did not get a chance today to work on your book, to think about your book, to write down any notes, to put something in your phone, we're going to take a few minutes right now to do that. And because I always want to encourage you or share something, some tips or story or something, I want to share with you today on my topic, which is, are you ready? But for those that don't know me, I work with time and writing challenge clients, helping them get their stories told, their books published, and their dreams fulfilled. And since 2019, I have helped about 22 people write and publish their books. I also have an online course. If you would like to write a book that way, you can go through my course. But otherwise, you can connect with me and work one-on-one with me, and we can help you go from idea to publish in no time. So, like I said, tonight we are talking on the topic, are you ready? And I just have a few points today. And for those of you who are on my list, you'll get an email that further talks about this. But I just wanted to highlight some points from that, because I think it's very important that we share these things, but also that it's important as you write your stories, because I just love the people who come to me, that their stories are amazing, that they're rich, that they're diverse, they're historical, and they really can make a difference in someone's life. But the thing about this topic, which I'm excited to share, because in light of all of the political chaos that we are seeing in our world, the fires, hurricanes, tornadoes. We had a tornado. I live in Maryland. We had a tornado here last night. Natural disasters, just all kinds of things that are happening. You know, I believe that you guys are able to make a difference in what you're writing. Okay, so tonight I want to share 3 points that I believe will help you, because after watching things like the daily news reports, you know, we get enough of the mayhem, the murders, the catastrophes, all of this stuff that's just like every single day. But we need you to be on the other side. We need you to be that healing balm, you know, that medicine for what's ailing the whole world. You know, we're still in the midst of a pandemic, and, you know, the numbers are going up, they go down, you know, but the world is sick. And we need your story, your empowering story, to be that transformative healing balm for what people need. And so when you write your stories, you're able to help people heal, to grow, to transform, and to become the best person that they can be. So are you ready? Are you ready to get started? All right. So I'm going to share with you my top 3 strategies on how to know you're ready to write your story. Because I just did a class last Saturday, and shout out to the people who were out there. It was really how to get your book started. I mean, that's a really big hurdle sometimes. You know, people want to write the book. You know, they've talked about writing their book for years, but they just can't get across the starting line. And so we did a 3-hour intensive session where we really went in. You know, I bought all my points, my keys, my machine to make sure I gave you everything I had. And so we were able to go deep so that you could get out of the session what you needed. And so tonight, again, we are talking about, are you ready? In the midst of everything that's going on in our world, your story is needed. It is key to the deliverance, the transformation, the healing, or the resurrection of somebody's life. So again, I'm going to share with you just 3 quick points. I'm not going to be before you long. And 3 strategies to know you are ready to write your story. Hey, B Sweets, good to see you, my dear. I was just thinking about you earlier, working on some stuff. So we are sharing, are you ready tonight? So I know you're ready because you are moving forward in getting your book done. So my first point tonight, in terms of, are you ready to write your story? You are ready when you can share how you got out of the situation. Okay. You are ready to write it when you can share how you got out. Okay. Because the thing is, bestsellers are built on the how, the implementation of how you got something done. Okay. And bestsellers, that's how, they get to the bestseller list, because you taught someone something. You share with them how you did something. And the thing is, the why you did it is key, but, because the why can lead to a better life. Why did you do that? So I can have a better life, so I can be free, so I can get a better job. But your book, it needs to extract the how, okay? The how to do something so that others can follow suit. Like for instance, here are the 5 steps I took to save enough money to buy a house, to buy a car, to save money for my education, to get out of debt. Like giving people steps, because when people have steps on how to do something, they are more likely to do it than when you're just sharing a story. So giving people the how to of your story, how did you get to this point? Okay, how were you able to get out of that situation? How did this change your life? How can this help me? Being able to answer those questions in your story, particularly your nonfiction story, will be transformative in the life of your audience. Okay, so that's number 1, when you can share how you got out of the situation. Okay, and then there's number 2, when you can write as if you are on the other side of the trauma. Now, for some people, there may still be a few more steps before you're fully out. But if you can write the story as if you are, or you already are, then you are ready to share your story. And what do I mean by that? And oftentimes, when we go through situations, circumstances, tragedies, trauma in our life, whether, hey, good to see you, my dear Rocio. So whether you go through, emotional, mental, spiritual, different challenges in your life, that, sometimes you can't share that without breaking down, without crying, without yelling, without slamming, without leaving the room. A lot of things that says you're not ready. And it's not a bad thing. It's just that you are still in process. And many times we try to jump out there before we are fully healed. Okay. Before we are fully healed, that we jump out of there sometimes. And so that's not the right time to write your story, or definitely not the right time to share it with someone else in a book, because you are still in process. And so the thing is, when you can mentally and emotionally move past the anger and the hurt that those circumstances created, if you are there, then you can probably pull off a fabulous book. Okay. And I'll give you an example. I was at an event where this woman shared her story of losing custody of her children to her abusive and controlling husband that she was divorcing. And the reason this occurred primarily was because he was well known, he had a lot of money, and he had the kind of lawyers who could get him what he wanted. She had none of that. She was a stay-at-home mom and raised their kids while he did the professional thing that he did that made a lot of money. However, when this woman told her story to this group of about 100 people, we could tell from the way she shared that she wasn't angry or hurt or frustrated or disappointed or any of the emotions that would be okay to have as a result of this situation, because she was on the other side of the devastation. She now had capacity. Okay, she now had enough space in her own life to be able to share her story in a way that will help someone else. Because while you're still in the midst of something, while you're still going through it, you are full of that situation. Like sometimes you can't sleep because of it. You can't think because of it. You can't eat. That means it's encompassing your whole life. It's filling you up with that situation. And until you're able to process it out and empty it out of you so that you have room to bring in new emotions, new positive energy into your life and into your heart, you won't have capacity to help anyone else because you still need help yourself. And so it was remarkable to see this woman sharing her story in a way that was so empowering, because, listening to her, you felt strong enough to do whatever you needed to do, even if you didn't go through anything, even similar to hers, but the way she was able to share her story let us know that she could, that she could put it in a book, she could teach it, she could make it a course, because she is on the other side of that. And that always makes the difference in what you do. Are you on the other side of it? Because the thing is, even if the other person is not, are you? Can you see this person or think about this person or interact with this person, be in the room with this person without all kinds of emotions coming up? Can you have a decent conversation without it turning into a breakdown or walking out, a fight, argument? That's when you're still not attached to what happened. But if it's everything is a trigger, that means you're still being processed. That means you're not ready. And it's okay. Some people need a lot of time. Some people don't know how to let it go. Some people don't know how to move past it. Some people just, they need the time. So understanding, do I have the capacity even to tell this story and share it with others, will be determined by the way I feel about it, by knowing if I'm on the other side of it. Okay, so that's number 2. So number 1 was when you can share how you got out of the situation. And number 2, when you can write as if you are on the other side of it. And then my final point, and then just one last thing on this, that not only did this person have the capacity, she did the work. So she did the internal work that she needed so that she could feel good about herself again. Because you can imagine that when you're having to fight to some degree against, an army of people with money and resources and time, and you don't have any of those things, you can imagine that she might have felt defeated. She might have felt depressed. She might have felt like, she lost everything. But that was not the woman we met. That was not the woman we engaged with. So it was amazing to see her transformation from where she was to where she is now. And we can only expect greater things to come. And so that was my second point. And then finally, like I said, I wasn't going to be here for you long. So finally, the third point, and when do you know you're ready to share your story? Because we're talking about, are you ready? Hey, I thank you for sharing that. Share the message. It's always good to get some love and share the points we're sharing, because it's, in order to write your book, we go deep, we touch areas that may be sensitive, things you may have never talked about. That sometimes I am so honored and privileged that people share intimate details of their life or how they grew up, their relationships, their lifestyles, the environments they grew up in, and they've never shared it with other people, but we gingerly walk through this, as they say, it's a safe space for us to be able to share these stories, because I believe, and I'll just make my last point here, when sharing your story can provide insight, legacy, or momentum for the next generation, then it's time to share it. Because many of our stories have been silenced. Okay, we are learning that in this pandemic, in the uncovering of so many films and movies. Hidden Figures, an amazing film, and NASA's right up the street from where I live. And Langley is in Virginia down the other way. So seeing all these stories and hearing the different contributions of people that have never been shared. So, and whether they were silenced or quieted or shamed or just plain forgotten, some things were forgotten. Back at the end of May, beginning of June, we commemorated the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa race massacre. And one of my clients, her family are descendants of that. And we shared her story. But there were hundreds of towns that were burnt down. Hundreds of businesses and homes destroyed in the same way across this country that we've never learned, that have been silenced. So many stories in the history of the United States of America that have been, like I said, silenced, quieted, shamed, or just plain forgotten because people didn't have the liberty to talk about it. They didn't have the freedom. They were told to not talk about it. Even in my own family, I have an uncle and my mom too, actually, that they helped integrate lunch counters in South Carolina. And now there's a whole museum and a video or a musical, a book, about their efforts, and particularly of the men who did it, because they ended up going to jail, helped usher in jail no bail. So even that story, his own daughter didn't know until she went to college and was like, is that my father in the book? So many of our stories have never been shared. And I love being a part of a community of people who get to share their stories. I mean, I believe our stories are fascinating and creative and just out of this world. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. But we haven't had the liberty to share them, or the space, or the know-how on how do I get this out? How do I get my story into a book? And so I would say to you, like, no matter what age or stage you are in life, whether you're a young adult, a parent, a grandparent, great grandparent, it is time to tell your story. It's time to get out of you what's needed to be said so that the world can see the value you have added to it. Because I believe that we all add value. Hey, Cindy, good to see you, my dear. Hey, Cheryl. It is good to see you, ladies. I'm so happy to see you. We are definitely talking about, are you ready? And all of you are ready. All of you are ready to move forward. I pray that you are seeing the results of your work, because it's only in our work, only in us going through the process, that we are able to do, to have that impact that we want, to leave a legacy for the next generation, and even to tell our story. Because so many times, our own family members don't know our story. Our kids, our grandkids, they don't know how we grow up. They don't understand why we do things the way we do. Why we don't go places, or why we're cautious about this, or, pushing them to do that, because we've been working and doing till we've never taken time to just be who we are and share what we've been through. So sharing our story is critical, that we don't want to lose the art of our story. I remember when I was in middle school, I believe it was, middle school, I think, something, 70s, when Roots came out. And that was must-see television. It was back in the day when we did not have all these channels and cable that we have. And my family, we never had cable when I grew up, but to sit and watch 2 to 3 hours every night of history, in front of our eyes, was just amazing. But what was even more amazing for me was the beginning and the end of that story, in particular, when Alex Haley went back, to his hometown, when the ancestors, the griots, the word people, the people who orally tell the stories, and that's one of the names I use in my emails. It's word griot. That, we have to tell our stories. We have to use our words to get our stories out, because otherwise they will be lost. They will be forgotten, and if there was shame, it will stay in shame instead of bringing it into the light. Because I tell many people in my online course and in my group coaching that sometimes, that the way we were raised, or the ways that people taught us or disciplined us, was things they learned out of survival. They never had lives of recreation, travel, and ease, so be grateful if there's any ease in your life. Be grateful for the grace and mercy that you have and extend it to others, because many times our backgrounds, from our family members, was only survival. They didn't know about being soft and easy, because they never experienced that. And unfortunately, many times you can't do what you haven't seen. If you haven't learned how to do something, then you haven't seen it, and so until someone can show you something, show you, like, I love showing my people, this is how to write a book, and we have proof, from the people who've written it. It's like, oh my God, I did it. Ivy Smith, one of our students, she just published her book this week, and we've got Jenny Davis coming up behind her, and we've got a few more in play. And you ladies on the call will be next. And so the thing is, you need someone ahead of you sometimes, just to give you the steps to how to take your story, how to take your life story and turn it into a book, which is the group that many of you are part of online, because it's about how to. Hey, Stephanie, there's another one of our authors. And it's just good to be able to see the progression of your life through your work, through your book, and that your book can then turn into something that's so much more than what you even imagine. So again, the 3 points I was sharing with you tonight on, are you ready? Are you ready to tell your story? Because how do you know if you're ready? Well, the 3 ways I gave to know you're ready is, number 1, when you can share how you got out of the situation. How versus why. Okay, when you can show people how to do something, it sticks with them. They'll remember why, but they'll implement how. Okay, so they will implement the how versus they'll just remember the why. Number 2, when you can write as if you are on the other side of the trauma, whether you are or you're getting there. But if the hurt and the pain and the all the issues, the angst of that situation, if you're on the other side of that, if you've grown past that, then you can tell your story. Because in your writing or even in your speaking, if you're not over it, you're going to fall apart, or we're going to hear anger. I'm sure some of you have heard people talk about a situation as if it's still happening, and it could have been 20 years ago, but they're not over it. They haven't got it out of their system. They haven't surrendered that situation to someone who could deal with it in a better way. Yes. So exactly. You're finishing up. And so, so that was number 2. And then our third strategy was when sharing your story can provide insight, legacy, and momentum for the next generation. I'm grateful for the different women and men in the community who are writing books for legacy purposes. They're like, I've done 25 years in corporate. I've done 35 years here. I've done this. I want someone to know my story, but I want them to know what I did before that. I have a wonderful woman in our community who was a fashion designer doing couture men's clothing, before she became an academic advisor at a college. So when she tells her students about her fashionable life, they were like, what? And she's got articles from newspapers and designs and sketches that she did for them to see, like, oh, you really can do it. Because sometimes they don't know the full picture. They might see you at a certain stage in life, like 40, 50, 60, and they don't think you did anything but take care of them and help them out. And sometimes we need to share a story to say, you know what? Not only did I have an amazing life, but I'm still doing amazing things. Like, there's still so much inside of me that I want to give. Like, I do this work because I can't not do it. Like, there's so many things inside of me I want to do. Like, I'm working on a film, books, coaching you guys, helping you guys fulfill these dreams, because I know how difficult it can be to deal with the time challenges and even the writing challenges, but it doesn't faze me. It's like, most people don't write, as well as, you're not literary agents and things like that. We're not at that point, but it's like, but we're writing our stories that you can write extremely well. You can write your story better than anyone can write your story. And so that's what I help coach out of you, because when I listen to your life, I hear the strength. I hear the endurance and perseverance and the diligence in you moving your life forward and touching the lives of others. I hear the places that you've come from, and I hear the places that you're going. And so I'm excited to be on this journey with you. I want to thank you for joining me here tonight for another Write It Out Wednesday. We come on here on the first and third Wednesdays of every month. This is the first day and the first Wednesday of September. So happy September. I hope you guys have great plans for this month. Like, this is a month to say, hey, how many chapters can I get done by the end of the week? Have I worked on my cover? Do I have a picture? Do I have my testimonials? So I'm shouting that to you. If you're not writing your book, there are other steps that you can do. If you're taking my course or if you're working one-on-one with me, there are things, Cindy, you're laughing. What you working on? So there are things we can do to continually move us forward. And 3 things you can do. Pick 3 things a day, it can be something personal, something for your book, and something for maybe your home or your family. So at least do 1 in each of those categories a day and let one of them be your book. And like I've shared with many of you, that you can write your book by recording it. I was watching a training and I just turned I had a Word document, open a blank Word document, and there's a microphone there, okay? And I just hit it because I needed time. I wanted notes from that because I needed to go back and listen later, because I needed to do something else. So I'd let that training go so I could finish something else. But it's like, we're multitasking anyway, okay? Like, if I'm going to take 20 minutes in the morning, I'm going to go over those notes because it was really good stuff, but I just couldn't focus then, then do that. But record. I shared with someone that sometimes when we talk for just 15 minutes, that could be 5 or 10 pages. Okay, yes, B-Suites. Recording is amazing. That can be 5 to 10 pages. You think you can't write. Maybe not type, but you can definitely talk. All right. I can imagine I've been talking for about 30 minutes. It's probably 20 pages. Okay. And you're like, what? And many of you talk more than that, just shooting the breeze. So imagine what you can do in getting your book done. All right. So those are my strategies for tonight. So I say to you, are you ready? Are you ready to get cracking for this month? Do not let September pass by and you haven't moved 10 steps ahead, okay? Because I'm going to be checking. All right. So until we meet again, love you guys. I'll see you next time. Hey, Cheryl, good to see you. I will see you this week. Okay. I will talk to you ladies later. All right. Bye.